The world didn't notice it at first. A single reflection in a café window would change history. Algorithms scoured millions of posts. Satellites tracked movement patterns. Thermal imagery highlighted the smallest anomalies. 200 feet beneath Tehran, in a bunker engineered to survive a nuclear blast, 12 of Iran's most powerful men gathered. Ali Khamenei sat at the head, surrounded by generals, ministers, and intelligence chiefs, the men who commanded armies, missiles, and nuclear secrets. They had never been touched. They felt untouchable. They weren't. At 9:40 a.m., Tehran didn't hear the first strike. There were no sirens, no emergency broadcasts, no visible panic in the streets. Traffic flowed. Markets opened. Children walked to school. Above the clouds, beyond radar range, history had already shifted. For months, a silent war had been unfolding, one fought not with bullets, but with data. Satellites tracked minute fluctuations in electricity grids. Artificial intelligence mapped traffic behavior across the capital. Vehicle movements were time-stamped, cross-referenced, and analyzed for irregularities invisible to human observers. Millions of data points. One anomaly. It wasn't a classified document that exposed the secret. It was a photograph taken in a café. A reflection in the glass revealed a street sign that didn't officially exist. Analysts enhanced the image. Compared shadows. Measured angles. Cross-checked urban infrastructure blueprints. The location wasn't on any civilian map. It led to something buried. Over the next 8 weeks, analysts observed a pattern. Every Saturday morning, 12 identical black SUVs approached the same unmarked entrance. They arrived within seconds of one another. Underground power consumption spiked precisely at the same hour. Secure communications briefly rerouted through hardened lines. Then came the mistake. One SUV arrived early. A door opened. A face was captured by long-range optics. Facial recognition confirmed what had once seemed unthinkable. The supreme leader himself was attending in person. And that changed everything. 200 feet beneath Tehran, beyond blast-resistant steel doors and seismic shock absorbers, a bunker had been engineered to survive the unthinkable. Nuclear fallout. Bunker busters. Prolonged siege. Inside, 12 of Iran's most powerful men gathered around a reinforced steel table. Ali Khamenei sat at the head. Around him, Urja commanders, intelligence chiefs, nuclear advisors, defense ministers, men who commanded proxy militias across borders. Men who oversaw ballistic missile programs and uranium enrichment facilities. Men who believed survival was guaranteed by concrete and secrecy. They had survived 4 decades of pressure. They believed they were untouchable. But patterns are vulnerabilities. And intelligence had matured into precision. Military planners now understood something unprecedented. Iran's entire strategic brain trust would be in one place, at one time, in a predictable routine. The decision was made. The strike would not come at night. It would come in daylight, when expectation was lowest. At 9:40 a.m. Tehran time, Israeli F-15s flying hundreds of miles away released Black Sparrow missiles. These were not conventional payloads. Adapted from anti-ballistic training systems, they were re-engineered for deep precision strikes. The launch platforms never entered Iranian airspace. The missiles flew low, fast, coordinated. Seconds later, a second wave targeted radar installations and surface-to-air missile batteries. Iranian defense systems attempted to activate. Screens flickered, signals jammed, communications delayed. Within minutes, over 200 Israeli aircraft were airborne in what would later be described as the largest air armada in the nation's history. Strike packages moved in layered formation. Electronic warfare units disrupted tracking systems. Decoy signals confused targeting grids. Early warning radars were neutralized before operators understood what they were seeing. 30 minutes later, American forces entered from the east. From carriers and distant bases, additional assets targeted remaining missile facilities, command centers, and naval infrastructure. The strategy was synchronized pressure. West to east, top to bottom. Leadership first, response capability second. Then came the final phase. High above radar detection thresholds, B-2 bombers advanced silently in their payload bays, Gibu-57 massive ordnance penetrators, 30,000 pounds each, designed to drill before detonating. The bombs did not explode on contact. They burrowed, layer after layer of reinforced concrete fractured under calculated force. Shock absorbers failed. Structural beams snapped. 200 feet of engineered protection collapsed inward. Inside the bunker, lights flickered once. Then, everything fell. Escape tunnels sealed under debris. Air filtration systems failed. Temperatures spiked. Dust replaced oxygen. Silence followed. 40 minutes later, special operations teams advanced through the secured perimeter. Thermal imaging scanned for survivors. Ground-penetrating radar mapped voids beneath rubble. 13 bodies confirmed. Biometric data encrypted and transmitted simultaneously to Tel Aviv and Washington. Iran's military response was immediate but fractured. Ballistic missiles launched without centralized coordination. Drone swarms rose into contested skies. Some reached targets, most were intercepted. Without leadership, retaliation lacked precision. Airfields were struck in rapid succession. Missile factories disabled. Fuel depots ignited. Naval vessels in the Persian Gulf were targeted. 9 ships lost within hours. By nightfall, Iran's command structure no longer functioned as a unified system. Units remained armed, but they had no orders. The Irk, long considered the backbone of Iranian military projection, was suddenly leaderless. 7 members of the Assembly of Experts were confirmed dead. Communications infrastructure was degraded. No successor publicly designated. The world reacted in layers. Moscow condemned the strike. Beijing issued protests. European leaders called for de-escalation. Gulf states maintained strategic silence, having been privately briefed days earlier. No nation intervened. 3 possible futures emerged immediately. An orderly transition of power, fragmentation among competing factions, or prolonged internal instability. The Middle East that existed at sunrise no longer existed by midnight. A regime that had influenced conflicts across 6 countries, directed proxy forces, and shaped regional power balances for decades had been decapitated in less than 12 hours. And yet, the deeper shift was not military. It was strategic. This operation began not with bombs, but with algorithms. It demonstrated that secrecy could be mapped, patterns weaponized, routines predicted. The strike revealed a new era of warfare, where intelligence precision could eliminate leadership without prolonged ground invasion. February 28, 2026 did not begin with explosions. It began with a reflection in a window. And while the bunker collapsed in seconds, the geopolitical aftershocks would echo for years. Because removing leadership is one thing, reshaping a region is another. And as night settled over Tehran, one question remained unanswered. Was this the end of a regime, or the beginning of something far more unpredictable?